some people hearing that, particularly on the more progressive wing of politics, would be even offended by the notion that they would argue that we're a secular society or a secular country, and a lot of people are just offended by religion. So it seems that we might have gone too far for that.
Well, I mean, I think the first thing to say to that is a lot of the things which you think are secular, and not you, I mean, they are drawing from a heritage and a set of social circumstances which were generated by very sincere and profound sort of Christian architecture. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if we think of ideas of charity, so much of, I mean, the very phrase welfare state is reputedly coined by William Temple, who was Archbishop of York and later Archbishop of Canterbury. The welfare state. But
what period was that?
He was. This was, I think, during the Second World War when he coined the phrase. If my memory doesn't play me wrong, in a thing called the Fifth Report. It's certainly in.
It is in the book. Yeah,
it is in the book. Yes. But I mean, the ideas go back. I mean, there was always charity, but it became much stronger from the earlier part of the 18th century with the evangelical revival, where religion and the Christian faith is treated with far greater sincerity, and people developing that sense of personal salvation and a personal relationship with God have to fulfill the needs and demands of the faith. And that's a combination of a respect for the inherent dignity of every person made as they are in the image of God. And because Christ took flesh and came to earth, in service of the people. He put aside his great estate and took on himself the form of a servant.
Yeah.
And one of the profound senses of the evangelical movement was that you had to serve other people and cherish the dignity and try to help people.
Yes.
The dignity will shine out of every person as an individual, because each individual is made in the image of God, and therefore they were tireless in trying to remedy a whole host of social ills which plagued England and, well, Britain more widely from top to bottom at that period. So everything from the poverty of the waifs and strays on the street children, Dr. Bernardo, for example, in the 1870s, public drunkenness, everything to the sort of culture of bribery and corruption and dueling and so on, which plagued the upper classes in their clubs in St. James. I mean, you have, sort of William Pitt, the Prime Minister, and is sort of Tierney, an MP, fighting a duel over an insult in the House of Commons at the beginning of the 19th century. So why are you doing this? This is bonkers. This is completely opposed to the dignity that you bear.
I love the idea. Farage and Starmer having a little duel would be quite fun there.
Yes,
maybe not very Christian.
Well, no, maybe not very Christian, but I suppose it would solve the disputes rather more quickly. But this is the point. You see, there are lots of things about Christianity that aren't efficient. You could solve a lot of problems very easily if you just had duels. Just shoot each other. Brilliant. You've got very old and you're a drain on your family and the resources of the state. Well, just stick some sort of potassium chloride in you and just have done. Cheap, efficient, quick, clean, just out of sight. But no, human dignity and the preservation of human dignity is not always efficient. But it is important, and we know it's important because that idea is, at its deepest heart, a Christian idea.
Yes,
and that's how it comes into our society.
Yes, and that's precisely why in this country we had liberalism and a culture of tolerance, and I guess across all of Europe, really, in the way that the rest of the world didn't. Christendom, if we can use that term, was the anomaly, and that was based on perhaps that was the crux of it, the fundamental philosophy at the bottom.
I mean, it's not that other cultures don't have that idea, but I don't think they have it as anywhere nearly as securely or fundamentally at the heart of how they are. I mean, there are some ideas in Roman Stoicism of human dignity, but I don't think it entered into Roman society anything as deeply as came out of the message of Christianity. And I think in other faiths you can argue it's present, but I don't think, again, it's as fundamental a notion as Christianity. It's at the very heart of what we are. As I say, at the beginning, God makes man in his image, and Christ takes human flesh. I mean, there's nothing really quite like that in the religions around us.
Yeah,
that is extraordinary.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Winston Marshall Show. You can click here to watch the full episode, and for more clips like this one, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, be well.